Right, relegation or expansion, which is best for the Six Nations? Now, whenever Italy finished fifth or sixth, which has been the case for most years ever since they joined, like what, 25 years ago, relegation always comes up. And I know Italy are trying their best, but to bring up relegation each time Italy don't do well is, for me, I just find it a bit disrespectful. But I'm going to talk about it nonetheless. So, would relegation be the best for the Six Nations? I, I think this is an interesting conversation to have, as looking at the second division side, Georgia are always finishing top, and they have shown that they have what it takes to compete with the best sides. But would relegation actually improve the Six Nations? We've just we've just got to see, really. I mean, this year though, Wales are staring down the barrel of another wooden spoon, which is looking like a real possibility, given their bad performances. But what are your thoughts? I mean, would relegation improve the Six Nations? For me, I think it would, as currently there's no repercussion for finishing bottom. But imagine if there was relegation from the Six Nations. Like, it would have teams like Italy and Wales like fighting to remain in the top division. Like, imagine if one of these two were to get relegated. Like, that would worsen their world ranking, which can only be a good thing, as the likes of Georgia and maybe Romania would actually have a proper chance of playing the best nations year in, year out, and not just at the Rugby World Cup. I think for me, relegation would be a massive improvement on the Six Nations, as it means that no team would be comfortable. Because let's be honest, like, this current closed ring system, for me, it's doing very little to improve rugby. Like, for me, rugby is a product which needs to take bold steps in order to improve. And having relegation from the Six Nations would probably be one of the best ways to improve rugby. But I'd like to know your thoughts. Would promotion and relegation improve Six Nations? Would it not improve the Six Nations? I'd like to know what you think. Another hot topic of conversation surrounding the Six Nations is expansion. Now, since 2000, we've seen 6 of the European best play each other each spring, year in, year out. But since South African clubs have been in European rugby, South Africa partaking in the Six Nations has been an interesting topic of debate. Now, could South Africa play in the Six Nations, potentially calling it the Seven Nations. Though this will be interesting as currently South Africa play in the Rugby Championship, but given they're playing in completely different time zones, it's often difficult for fans in South Africa to follow their games. Like, for instance, they could be up at what, 8-9 o'clock in the morning in Johannesburg, and they're watching South Africa play New Zealand or Australia in Auckland or Sydney when the match is taking place at what, 7 p.m. Like, that's just ridiculous. So one of the arguments for South Africa playing in the Six Nations is time zone, because if you look at the time zones between South Africa and England, like, Johannesburg is just an hour ahead of London, so it makes complete sense for South Africa to play in the Six Nations in that respect. Also, I've been hearing some people say that South Africa should replace Italy in the Six Nations. And I get that Italy always struggle in the Six Nations, having not finished fourth since 2013, when they beat France for the second time ever. But I don't think it's fair to judge Italy based on that. Like, yeah, of course, having South Africa instead of Italy would make the Six Nations far more competitive. But not having Italy in there is unfair, as you're just penalising Italy. Like, that's just harsh. For me, what I'd do is keep Italy in there and add South Africa. But if you're going to add South Africa, which other nations would you also add? I mean, and I've heard some people say, well, I haven't heard anyone say this, but this is just me thinking in my head. I've been thinking that either Argentina or Georgia could also follow South Africa into the Six Nations, potentially making it an 8 nations. Now, how would this work? This is something I've been thinking about for quite some time. How would an 8 nation tournament work? Well, for that, I drew up a potential format quite a while ago, which I'll put as a link in the description for you guys to read up on. So yeah, that's expansion done for me. So with expansion, what do you think could happen with that? As the Six Nation stakeholders are looking to see what could be done to improve the tournament, maybe adding relegation or expansion. Which one would you prefer? Like, for me, I wouldn't really tell you which one I prefer, as I'm going to leave that up to you. But both are interesting arguments nonetheless. So let me know your thoughts. What do you think could improve the Six Nations? Relegation or expansion?